of our Beers and Brains event series. I'm super excited to see such a full room here tonight, and as well a full YouTube room with people joining through our live stream. I was actually expecting a little no-show rate, but it seems like we have a full house here, so that's amazing. My name is Henrik. I'm part of Project A's venture development team, and I have the great honor and pleasure to be hosting this event here tonight and to be moderating our panel on starting up with family, cross-generational founding and leadership. And so for those of you who are not yet familiar with the Beers and Brains event series, it's our new event series at Project A, our knowledge sharing and networking event series at Project A that aims at bringing together interesting people, personalities, entrepreneurs, business enthusiasts from inside and outside of our portfolio to first and foremost share knowledge, exchange ideas and thoughts, and ultimately as well network over a beer or two. And as the name suggests already, it's a very casual way of coming together and learning from one another, socialize, and mingling with business folks. So super excited to kick it off tonight. We plan to have this event series 4 times a year. So this is our first event, so stay tuned for the events to come. And make sure to follow us along the journey on our social media, etc. So let's get to the exciting and most important part of the event here tonight. I'm thrilled to have an inspiring lineup of panelists here with me, or should I say family constellations, who will share their experiences and insights on starting a business together with their children or parents respectively. So joining me on stage here tonight is Klaus Harisch and Pablo Harisch from Hyundai, a venture we as Project A have invested in pretty much exactly a year ago, as well as Helena Rapprich and Anila Langhans from LipoCheck, together with their father and co-founder, Dr. Stefan Rapprich, who is more or less joining us directly out of the operating room, where he has just been performing a surgery. So although we are obviously sorry that you cannot be here with us in Berlin tonight, Stefan, we are super happy and thankful that you are still, live with us here, and very much appreciate the fact that you still have enough brain capacity or power to be engaging in this panel here. So that's amazing. And on top of this, we have May here with me, who is representing Project A's investment team to shed some light on the perception of cross-generational family-founded ventures and the characteristics to consider. So please have a big round of applause for our speaker round here tonight. Perfect. And with this, I would, let me quickly guide you through our agenda tonight. So we'll start off with a panel discussion right on time, actually. And this will be followed by a Q&A session where you will have the chance to ask questions. So please save and collect your questions to the end. And then afterwards, we get into the beers and networking part of it. So with this, I would like to hand over to Hyundai for a brief introduction to you as a persona, and as well, obviously, Hyundai, so that the audience knows who is sitting in front of them.
Cool.
You start.
Thanks. Yes, I start.
So,
I'm Pablo. I'm one of the co-founders of Hyundai. I'm the chief business officer. That means I'm responsible for the department's operations, product and tech, and IT. And from the very first day, I was really focused on getting our platform live and making it available. And then I started to really focus as soon as we got the first clients to talk to our clients and to our talents to both increase our revenues, of course, and to improve our product. And only this was possible in the first days or years of the company. Nowadays, we added a lot of new day makers to our departments, to our team, and really proud. And thank you, Henrik, for being here today, and thanks for the invitation. That's everything to me. Thank you.
Well, probably my story is quite longer, so we have 90 minutes. I don't know whether I get it in. So my name is Klaus. From the background, I'm a physicist, and I started my career, as you can imagine, many years ago in the 90s. I founded my first company, directory assistance, which was the days when you took a phone to get a phone number. So you need to dial a number to get a phone number. This all had changed, but we did this very successful. We founded the company in 96, we IPO'd it in 99, and we made in the year 2000 a $2 billion transaction. So we sold our company to Telecom Italia. This was a great deal for us. It was really April 2000 when everything was really high. And I stayed with the company until 2004. Then I left. I found a second one, Go Yellow Media AG. So Go Yellow means bringing yellow pages, paper pages online, which is very common today again. But at those days it was something new, doing it exclusively online. We sold this in 2010. And then I retired. And in the year 2015 or so, Pablo and Leon, my sons, visited me in the Black Forest where I lived with the rest of the family, and they said, we want to found a company, and I said, a good idea, I want to buy a company, and let's look what we can do probably together. And honestly, I didn't want to start the company again with 3 or 5 people. I thought to buy something with 50 or 60, so not really to do this from scratch again. But during the due diligence of a company I wanted to buy, I figured out that the market we were addressing, so something very about contact centers, you will hear about more this later, that this market have not changed the last 25 years. Because in the days when we have Telegate, our first company, we had huge call centers with 3,000 people. And the idea was, could we manage this to bring these call centers where many people are sitting in small offices? Can we do this probably from home via a platform and configure this completely different and develop a software who allows to work remote from anywhere all over the world for great customers? And it was 2016, so Corona was far away. And the rest of the story I will tell later on, because I do not want to cover all the time now. I hand over.
But thanks for the introduction.
Yeah.
Very happy to have you on board. And with this, maybe over to you, LipoCheck.
First of all, thank you for having us here. We are very excited about the panel discussion today. My name is Helena. I'm also one of the co-founders of LipoCheck and CEO, and I'm responsible for nearly everything regarding our business development and strategy, marketing, sales, finance, corporations. And before we founded LipoCheck, I worked for several companies in the IT product management, IT consultant, and was also part of a core team which is an AI solution. And then LipoCheck came our idea, and we founded it summer last year. It's a health tech startup, and probably many of you do not know what lipedema is. Lipedema is a quite unknown disease. It's a fat distribution disorder in women's arms and legs, and it's often misdiagnosed and mistaken with obesity. And we found a solution, and we are developing an AI-powered platform to provide them detection and care from home.
Okay.
Over to you.
Hi, my name is Anina, and I'm the sister of Helena, of course. Thanks for having us today here. I'm also the co-founder of LipoCheck, and I'm responsible for the product and tech part. I studied industrial engineering with focus on computer science. That's where I got into the role of a product manager, and also super interested in some techie stuff, and love to look at new technologies. And this is now what I bring into LipoCheck, figuring out new technologies with, of course, good developers. Yeah, and I would say let's hand over to our father.
Yeah, thank you. I'm Dr. Stefan Rapprich. I'm a dermatologist and phlebologist. That means I'm medical expert for skin surgery and vein and vascular surgery. And well, I work now in my own office in Bad Soden. It's near Frankfurt. And I have now almost 30 years experience with treating of the disease lipedema. It's disease of the fat of the arms and legs, and many women suffer from that. And by my daily work, I see that there's a huge need to care for them, and the knowledge was poor 20 years ago. And well, I collected all my experience. I present at conferences, give workshops about liposuction technique, and so on. And well, when and that was also the idea to create an app. I think we will later talk about it, to create a digital solution to fill the gap between the need and the effort of well, medical services. So, well, I'm eager to start into the discussion now.
Great. Then maybe just a few words, Susan?
Sure. Hi, I'm May. I am part of the investment team on Project A, and also actually look at digital health as one of the investment areas. And just for your information, so we do early stage investments, so we invest in early stage technology companies. I guess on the topic, I also have a side business with my sister. We sell olive oil. But also on the topic of family, we actually grew up together with Anina and Helena, so it's kind of extended family. So I'm really happy to be here. Thank you for organizing.
Perfect, great. Then let's dive into it. So yeah, starting a business together with family comes with its very own set of challenges and as well opportunities. So from basically balancing family dynamics to meeting the requirements of running and starting a business, to navigating conflicts and difficulties, but as well to take decisions across generations, leadership decisions. So there are many complexities associated to it. On the other hand as well, blood is thicker than water. So obviously that means that family relationships and loyalties are the strongest and most important ones. So what we will be talking about today, or what we are having a look at today, is basically the different phases of the business cycle. So that basically means we'll be looking at the founding and early days, at the modus operandi, the founding and financing part, as well as compensation and equity, as well as the challenges and the future outlook from the perspective of family-founded and led ventures. And with this, I would say let's jump right into it and start with your respective founding story, which both I know for a fact are quite different from one another. So you both already briefly touched upon how you basically started your business, but I would like you to again talk a little bit about this while keeping the question in mind really, what came first? Was it really the desire to found something together as a family, or was it really the underlying business idea of your business at the end?
Who's that?
Ladies first.
So for us, the idea was first, and it popped up at not Christmas, at a family dinner table. And our father here told us about the long waiting lists he has in his practice and about the long suffering path lipedema patients are going through. And when we asked him, why is this so, he answered there are only a few experienced doctors who really can fall back on decades of experience and can treat and diagnose the disease. And we are like, oh, okay, why? And he also told us or asked us if we can have or developing like a pre-screening instrument. So he has the data, he has the knowledge, and we can develop it, right? So, and our AI solution eyes and techie eyes got really big, and we were like, oh, data sounds good. And then we started asking or started talking to patients and really wanted to figure out, is it really a problem? And we saw a huge need in making healthcare services more accessible for them. And this is then how we turned our idea into a LipoCheck, and we started working on the progress and started to developing and looking on our AI solution and started to have public funding and skipped our jobs and now wanted to have a lot of people. So the idea was first. And actually, if you had asked me this question a few years ago, if I would ever wanted to start with my family, I would have said, I could imagine, because obviously they are smart, but why though? So you didn't have an idea, so
you were waiting for the idea to approach you.
Yeah. I needed that idea, so this is what LipoCheck is.
Nice. So now Hyundai, quite a different story, I assume.
Yeah. You want to ask?
Yeah.
Yeah. The question depends a little bit on who you ask.
Okay.
Because from my side, for me it was here pretty early that I wanted to found a company, and as Klaus already said, I was already together with Leon after our studies, elaborating some ideas. We thought about starting an online shop for for fitness supplements, because we saw that that's a trend. People wanted to live a more healthy lifestyle, and we thought that was a good way to enter. But then Klaus came up with the idea of Hyundai, and not only the idea, but of course also the experience really convinced us, and we decided to do Hyundai, thankfully. And now Klaus can share a little bit more on what we're doing, why we're doing it, and story behind it.
Yes, as I mentioned earlier, now I can jump in there. I figured out it's too early. So honestly, I bought a cigar manufacturer in the Black Forest just to have something to do, and I started to study philosophy in Basel, and but I figured out it must be something real. And so I looked around and made a due diligence from a Boda daughter company, and then I saw, and this is still today the Hyundai formula, and it seems very simple. It's very funny because I had an interview today with a lady for communication, and she said, well, but you communicate this formula, isn't this a secret? I said, no, it's not a secret, because it's very difficult to copy the conclusion. And the Hyundai formula was like that. We knew that if you go to so it was 2016 or 2015, if you join a call center, you get an hourly rate of about 10 euros per hour. So usually minimum wage. And we knew if we are going to a BPO and ask, what are you going to charge for the hour? It will be 35 euros. And the question was, okay, the agent in the call center gets 10 euros and the BPO charges you 35. So the guy or the lady who's doing the job gets only 10 euros. Could there be a model, and Airbnb and Uber and other platforms were already out, where we could say, okay, stay at home, double your income, but you need to be self-employed. So you get, instead of 10, you get 20. We put a 40% take rate on it. So it's 28 euros, and we offer it directly to big customers like Mercedes or whoever. So 7 euros top down, cheaper, and double the income and from the bottom up, from the talent side. We call the agents talents. So from the pure mathematics, this should work. And then we said, okay, come on, let's try whether we can get this in software. And we started to develop an MVP. And mid of 2016, we figured out, yes, this thing is going to work. And and that's still today. The company developed very, very well. But as you can imagine, it was before Corona, and marketplace is always very difficult, because you have the two sides. The talents are asking for customers, the customers are asking for talents, and you have nothing.
Chicken and the egg problem.
Yeah, that was quite difficult. But later I can tell how we solved it finally, and why we're sitting here today.
Great, looking forward. Was the founding constellation of both LipoCheck and Hyundai ever questioned, either by yourself, immediate family members, or like other friends and family? And if so, how did you react or counteract?
Maybe I say something to that. It's always funny to talk to other people, and they are answering like, I could never work with my sibling or with one of my parents. That would never work out. And for us, like, we have such a strong bond that we grew up together. You know that. It feels so natural, and it took some time, and now it makes us actually really proud to see that it's not normal that you have such a strong bondage in the family. So actually we grow up organically also in our roles. Like we know each other, we know our experience, we know our skills. So especially of course, he has his own skills and experience. So it was quite clear from the beginning who is taking which parts, and it felt like totally natural to us.
Okay, so you never questioned it, but did anybody else question it? For instance, I don't know, your mother who's not part of the team, right? Or other friends or family who tried to talk you out of this, for instance.
I think he wants
Stefan,
to say
maybe over to you.
Yes, I must say LipoCheck is somehow the digitalization of my life's work, of my Lebenswerk, and who else I like to share with than my daughters, and how happy I am. I have daughters who have the competence, the skills, experience, and the personality to be optimistic that that project will run.
No, makes sense.
So no one ever asked it.
Great. What about you?
I would say never questioned, but there were questions. But they were like, is Klaus really coming to the office and working, or is he just kind of advisor? But yeah.
And is he?
Yeah, really, every day. Still, every day. Yeah, yeah, no. But questions, I would say no.
Okay, cool. So Klaus, question to you. So as you mentioned already, you are a successful and experienced serial entrepreneur with 1188 Solutions and Go Yellow. How did the founding story or the early days differ from other ventures of yours in the past, now that you had your sons on board?
Well, I think I was for the first time nervous. So, and this for quite some time. So normally you just do things and you know what's necessary to do and you do not think much about it.
Yeah.
But in those days I thought, how would be the situation if this thing fails? And I know that the ratio is 1 to 10 or something like that. So I was for the first time in my life a little bit nervous and probably worked even more in order to get this thing done and get it up and running as we would like to have it. So that was probably different. Yeah. Okay, cool. And it was completely family financed. The first company was the classical one, you know, seed, first, second, third, IPO. But this we really founded by our own family office. So this was very different from with regard to would we be under the bridge if it fails. That was not the question. The question was I want to have success together with the sons. Yeah.
It's a role model, basically, right? Yeah. And Stefan, for you as well, obviously you are a partner and practicing doctor at one of Germany's largest dermatology facilities. Did this ever stand in your way to found LipoCheck? And what would you say, were you like the driving force behind it, or was it rather your daughters?
Well, for my partners at my office, it was never a problem. We have a partner contract and allows everyone to have some own projects beside. That's common in our medical business, and it's an advantage. I have here, my own office is in a way the testing area for the app. I'm here in contact daily with my patients, their need, and we can improve by running system in a way our app, and that's not a disadvantage, it's an advantage.
Sure is. Cool. Great, thank you for your answers. I think we will now move over to the next business phase, namely the modus operandi. So basically how you have settled in, how you have managed to establish a good working relationship while still being functioning as a family. And it is always super important and crucial basically to set clear roles and responsibilities, right? To work as efficiently as possible. But I bet in your case it's also even more important to set the proper boundaries, not just as co-founders, but as well as father and son or father and daughters. So you already talked about this a little bit. So you had like clear roles and responsibilities from the like early days on. But how was it in your case? Did these develop over time, or was it like clear from the beginning you would take over the role as a CEO, or like more the executive part, or who took it over in the beginning?
I think we did not really define it via in the sense of role or titles or whatever. It was clear that I have an access to a certain industry, to the telco industry or to the BPO industry. So some people trusted me when I'm going to do something that probably will give us a certain kind of business. Pablo was clear that he's going to look for the operations because that was his baby, and Leon was the one who grew practically up with marketing. And so it was clear that he's going to be responsible for getting the talents on board. And then we had Thomas and Rasmus who were supporting us with the software. And that was natural. That was just clear that we are going to make this division. Yeah.
Okay. Do you have anything to add here?
No, I think based on our backgrounds and skills, it was also clear who's taking which task and responsibilities, right? And yeah, I mean, our father is our doctor and are connected to the medical world. She's our techie and our product developer. I'm responsible for all the management. So I think it was clear and the boundaries were set from the beginning.
And were there ever like any qualifications or abilities basically that you were afraid about that somebody would not bring into the team that you addressed? Or was basically everything there in terms of qualifications you needed in order to start the business?
I mean, we never founded a company before and we never worked together. So you had some thoughts like, is Amy's speed at eating from the childhood equal to her speed at working, or is Papa's, you have thoughts like, is Papa's caring nature still there when when it comes to tough business decisions? So this would be some thoughts why you might have concerns. But at the end, you know that they don't have any bad characteristics why you might have concerns. And what you also know is also from your childhood or even from the past, that they can learn. And I think that's in our sector, in our dynamic sector, very important. And especially, okay, we don't have any high-level developers, so we put them in the team, and this is how we schedule and put our keywords into it.
Okay, cool. So what does your operational setup look like, basically? Have you like incorporated or implemented any strategies or processes, procedures in order to like get this like healthy working, like not only healthy, but as well efficient working relationship among you as a family together? Do you have any like tools implemented, any like role models you looked up to, or any like, I don't know, strategies in place that support this?
No.
I mean, the biggest key, I think, for us is transparency. And of course, we have a fixed meeting structure with our team and also just with three of us. Like you can imagine, our dad is still working as a doctor, so our meetings are most of the time in the evening. And we have this kind of rule that private content, to keep that out of the meetings, especially when you're with the team. But of course, how it is sometimes, especially when we're just the three of us, we are sometimes fading out into some private conversation. That is just how it is in a family, but business first, of course, and then we organize some family dinner or anything else that needs to be discussed in a private sentence, but not with the team, definitely not.
And we're working with collaboration platform like Slack, and everybody needs to have this on the phone. Also, and a lot of late night sessions, obviously, but that's how it works.
Do you have anything to add, or do you have?
No, it's interesting because I would also say what really helped us was in the beginning transparency and really addressing the topic directly. And that is interesting because our model is almost completely remote. But what really helped us in the beginning, or what I think really helped us, was we were sitting right at one table together, or around, I don't know, first 4, 5 years. Yeah. 3 of us, yes, and then all the employees were sitting basically in the same room with us. That really helped us to make quick decisions, fast decisions when needed, to steer the company somehow, to spread information. That really helped us in the beginning to just be fast. Yeah.
You once said that you are more ambitious and more hardworking when you have your father as your boss.
Yeah.
Does this still apply to this date? And can you share a little bit about what is it like to have your father as a boss, actually, especially if you have a father who is such a public figure?
Yeah, like I said, it's I think on the one hand, of course, he has founded several successful companies, and you don't want to work in the first step. Really does not work. So that's kind of okay. So that
vice versa.
Yeah. But on the other hand, to describe it a little bit, in perhaps one or the other has played football back when he was young or a kid, and when you had your parents there to support you, that kind of fueled the ambition. And now imagine if your father is your trainer, then you also want to be special, good. And that's what I meant by saying this. And that's also what it's like to have your father as a boss, because I do not really consider him like as a boss, sorry, but more as a mentor or trainer that really just helps and supports.
But does this role changes when you are at home in a personal or private setting, or is this father figure also omnipresent when you're at the office?
Yeah, I would say there's no change. So our behavior is not changing when we're in business or when we're in private.
Okay. Is it the same in your case, or is it changing at some point?
No.
No, it's the same actually.
I think he's not our boss.
Well, we come to this in a second anyway. But I was just curious, have you ever had a situation where you went over your father's head, basically, where you said, okay, although he's the boss, I'm taking this decision now, and I don't care whether you agree with this or not?
I cannot think of one.
Okay.
Perhaps you have to ask him whether something like this happened. No, because it was just like, as we were sitting in one room, or we have so much exchange, it's just not happening that something is just decided over one's head. So I even cannot think of a situation where it was vice versa. So.
No, honestly, our company is, I think, at the moment organized around me, and I'm always challenging that we need to be careful to see when this needs to be changed. So this is, are we even talking with Project A or with Amira, with others? Because I have no direct reports, because I don't like it. I'm not really he is a much better manager than I. So if I have direct reports, it's not so easy to work together with me, and I don't like it. So I want more to spend my time with the company, but not doing daily routines and meetings and all this. And so nobody is reporting to me, but we are meeting very often in the early morning for the coffee, and there are meetings for sure for the managing directors meeting and so on, so fulfilling all the compliance stuff and so on. But practically I have no direct reports, and from that perspective the decisions are made otherwise.
I see. Okay. I don't know, you took over the role as executive at LipoCheck, like overseeing the strategy and our operations. Did you ever encounter problems challenges when it comes to like power struggles or hierarchy? And did you find ways how to basically overcome them?
Yes, I think as in all of the other startups, we are following the principle we don't have any hierarchy. And of course, my role is clearly to have this overview and to investigate if it's good or bad, and to make proposals, how to handle certain situations. But also my part is to bring these proposals on the table for discussion, and based on transparency and honesty, I want a good discussion where we all decide together on it. So that is how we handle it. And if there are signs of a conflict, which is really not often, but could be some disagreements, we are always asking the question, what would our mission do? And this is very helpful. So to avoid any conflicts and stay strong and see what do we really want here. And yeah, especially I think the last few months we needed to coordinate well, and as you can see, the time is important for us, and or less. We launched our prototype, we're planning a lot of events this year and so on, and we needed to coordinate well, and there are some decisions which are very urgent. And we have one big advantage when working with a family. You can ever call your family members and they're always answering. So apart from all the meeting structures, that's a very cool thing we can have, and this is how we handle it actually, some struggle points.
I can imagine. However, this also brings me to my next question actually, because you can always talk about business, right? Wherever you are and whatever family situation you have, you can start a conversation about the business. How do you manage to still have like a healthy like family life-work balance, basically? I remember when we had our first call, you were talking about like a situation at, I think, Christmas or something, where you were at the buffet and then you quickly were chit-chatting and like making sure that your mom wouldn't listen because she would feel, I don't know, left out or something. How do you manage this?
Yeah, it's a quite funny story. Yeah, maybe you want to tell the story?
Yeah, sure, we can do it. Yeah, the Christmas story. So on Christmas we were all together, like the whole family, like all our aunties and uncles and cousins, and it's like, of course, when you're getting on the buffet and taking some food, like we're a huge family, by the way, like 25 people coming together. So we're on the buffet, and I was standing right next to my dad, and I was like, "Hey Dad, have you seen this and this? And I developed that and that. Can we test that tomorrow?" Of course, you kind of can't switch it like really off, but we try to, and yeah,
we're taking care that
no one is annoyed by it. But of course, also other family members who we don't often see are asking, "Hey, how's LipoCheck going? How are you doing?" And what are you?
We can talk about it in the private chat.
So also you get into this kind of conversation. But I think we managed it quite well to try to switch it kind of off.
Is that the same? Is it the same in your family now, or how do you manage?
I think we don't manage it in this sense. It's just part of the life, you know. It's like it's there. You're talking about it, and honestly, very often other people also want to know what's going on, and they ask very often. So you're practically more forced to talk about the company because everybody's asking, and how are things going, and what's next steps, and da. So I think we never really cared about it because it was the whole life, and probably for them it was even more common because when they were small, every weekend business people were coming in and out, and so I think at least you don't know it different. No. Business was always there, but it was okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it's never
off topic, basically. Okay. At this point, maybe also a big thank you to your wife, who is celebrating her birthday tonight, right? And who was generous enough to let you go to Berlin. So in case she's listening or watching at some later stage, thanks a lot.
I would
very much appreciate this. So, but also maybe a question, how much do you get other family members involved? So the one thing is talking about it, right, if they're interested in, but do you as well take their advice, or do you like somehow as well include them in like business decisive topics where it gets really crucial, or is it something where you say, okay, this is something we only take really within the family founding team?
So that's not that it comes over wrong, but no, business advice from family members usually, so they would not be there if I would have listened to. At least family members might, because they, hey, what are you going to do? So you think, okay, people are sitting there at home and they're on the computer, that will never work, you're crazy. You know, that's then a difficult discussion. So it's more than kind of funny stories or so. But now there you have to be very clear. So you're making those kind of discussions, but more or less for fun, but not seriously. Where I seriously take advice is if it's about managers. So if there are coming people into the company who are hiring really important staff and roles, then I always take my wife to when the company is meeting parties and so on, so that I can say this was this and then I can ask her how do you see those people. So and then I get good feedback because she has a very good radar how people might function and work.
I would say it just helps sometimes to get kind of an outside perspective and opinion, yes, on certain topics.
Definitely.
I think it's the same at our place here. They don't have any right for decision making. No power of co-decision. I think also it's very important in our case. But maybe they're involved sometimes because they are asking a lot if they can help us or support us. And there are also some smart people in our family who maybe can support us. And maybe our little sister, I asked her if she wants to be involved because she's writing articles and is very interested in women's health. And even though there's ChatGPT right now, I asked her writing for us articles. So this is how we involve some family members.
So would you consider taking her into the management team?
She's younger, but maybe after her studies. Let's see.
Okay, cool. Then thank you for the answers, and let's move on to the next phase, funding and financing. So obviously, securing external funding has become increasingly important over time for companies to start and as well to scale, obviously, successfully. And given the industry we are in, obviously, it's interesting for us to know what your experiences have been, but as well where you are heading towards and what your intentions are. So first question to you, Klaus and Pablo. You successfully secured, as you mentioned earlier, 30 million in growth funding last year by Amira Growth and Project A. And I would be curious to know, what would you say, how did the funding process differ from your other funding processes in the past? And do you think that your team constellation played a part in it, positively or negatively? And if so, how?
Well, the big difference was that the first company was also always on the borderline to insolvency. So we always struggled for money. It was always a parallel work stream. Yeah. And that is that's very different. That was much more relaxed now. So we always knew that we could work ahead, and this is a very good role. So the discussion was, I think I can tell it here because we had a valuation in our mind, we had a percentage in our mind, and we said, this is it, take it or leave it. And then there was one offer, and we said no, second offer, no, third offer, it was the offer, we said yes, and then we made the deal. And that's how we worked this out, and this was from that perspective unusual. And the background was not that we needed money, but we wanted to professionalize the company from the financial perspective with regard to a probably coming IPO. So we have a certain roadmap how the company is going to develop, and especially we wanted to have more knowledge in the company. Yes, I have founded 2 or 3 other companies, but anyhow things have changed, and it makes a lot of sense to have more knowledge, to have a kind of advisory board or whatever who gives other insights and supports you in many directions. And this is why we decided to take Amira and Project A. Yeah.
Very lucky.
Yeah, yeah. No, we were very lucky. We were lucky. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. And you, I mean, apart from the funding program of the German Ministry of Economics and Climate exists, you are more or less bootstrapped to this point, as far as I understand. So self-financed. But I know that you're planning to raise external capital in the near future, obviously. Are you planning to use this very unique family composition you have as a selling point in the fundraising process?
I mean, we're now middle in some talks and conversation with some, first of all, business angels and some VCs. And out of this conversation, we saw that they never question trust. So we push or put more in focus our skills and our vision and the market and the product and our solution, less our family stories, right? So I think, it's clear we are a family, and it's more important to show our skills to make it work.
Okay. So now that we heard like the two venture opinions, I would be interested in your opinion, May. So do you say there are any preferences in founding team constellations? And would you say, like, what do you say, how are family-founded ventures typically perceived from an investment perspective?
Yeah, I think it's very interesting, right? So we don't, I think in our deal flow, we don't get it super often. We like maybe once every couple of months that we get a constellation of, especially I think like parents and kids more rarely than sister and brother. And from our perspective, it would never be in any way a red flag, right? So I think what's very important is that kind of the skill sets are matched. So for example, if you're building like that one person, as in the case of you guys, you have one person that does like the management, kind of also the sales processes, the hiring, kind of the outside phase, and the other person that's kind of keeping the house in check. So as long as it's kind of like a constellation where two co-founders and sisters, brothers, whatever it is, add like the relevant skill sets, it would never be a red flag. I think even the opposite, because I was just thinking, just like in the plain situation, practical situation where you basically negotiate shareholder agreements, right, and the term sheets, etc. Normally, if you're negotiating that, you're, as a founder, you're negotiating at the advantage of the company, but also yourself. Whereas in a situation of a family, you're kind of, the interests on that side, on our opposite side, basically, are all aligned, which is kind of an advantage for all, right? And the trust there is obviously super strong. I think the only exception we would make to that is kind of like romantic partners, because I mean, yeah, I mean, it's we've actually made some, not like our own investments and stuff, but we have seen that it has created conflict in the past, and it still wouldn't be kind of a taboo to do that at all. But it does make it more difficult than in this situation. And then I guess the third piece to that also is, especially in those two cases, right? If kind of the parent and child relationship, the parent adds kind of a competitive advantage in comparison to other competitors in the market, that is of course an advantage. There's like the level of trust, and you can't just cancel your parents. They will be there and they will have your back. And they add some sort of defensibility to your business. For example, especially in the case of digital health companies, where usually a lot of companies fail because they struggle to get access to medical data, right? And here they have the perfect access. So again, it can really be a strong advantage here.
Thank you. So would you say there are certain characteristics you look for when you have like cross-generational founding teams? Like important characteristics to keep in mind?
I guess that they get along would be a good one. And I guess kind of complementary, and when I say complementary, they don't have to be the same, right? So just kind of like people that get along, and then that match, that can like puzzle together different skill sets for it to work. So for example, if like the two co-founders, be it parent or sister or brother, are very similar, probably they can clash quite a bit. And I mean, kind of, that's also something, and I see this not just with like family built businesses, but you know, you can also get like external help. You can also bring in external managers that are experienced, that can complement the team, so you can make that work. So I think it's kind of, there wouldn't be something where I'd say like, okay, this doesn't work at all. I think it changes over time. So if the company is a bit older and it comes towards topics around legacy, and there's more family involved, and there's different streams of families involved, I think that becomes more complicated in like the German Mittelstand, for example, right? But I think in this case, it's still probably manageable, I can imagine.
Thank you.
Of course.
Now, when talking about funding and financing, obviously the next natural question, a sticky question as well, arises as to how you manage compensation and equity. And I would be interested in how you have managed your equity and compensation within your teams, and also what kind of measures you have taken in order to prevent issues coming out of conflicts that could arise due to different levels of ownership or compensation.
I mean, we are very early stage, and when we founded our company, the equity was clear, so we all have 3 equal shares. And I think what's very important is to have a well-thought plan, and for us, it's our business plan, because we have it, and it's more or less like our family guideline. And so with the plan, you know, we are all on the same page. We know for what we are working for, we know what is coming next, and we are following all the same goals or common goals. And I think this is very helpful to avoid some conflicts regarding compensation and equity. And of course, honest conversation about the financial plannings and how we will be funded. So this is how we are working. So based on a well-thought plan and honest conversation.
Is it similar in your case, or how did you manage it?
Well, I think it changed over the time. When we founded Youngday, the idea was more or less to have a family medium-sized company. It was when Corona started that we figured out that the product of Youngday has much, much more potential. So it would be a real loss to the industry, to the society or whatever, if you develop something like that and leave it small. And then we thought bigger in every regard, and we structured the company differently. We founded a family holding where we put the shares in, and so we did some necessary stuff in order to think the company being 100 times bigger than we thought it at the very beginning. So there the things really changed.
Okay.
Yeah, but with the monthly salary or whatever, there are no discussions. Everybody, you know, we have comparisons in the market, and for example, my salary was adapted when we hired an external manager, and he has double the income than I. Then I said, oh, that's not fair. So when I needed, so at least I should get what he's getting.
So
I said, okay, then we're going to adopt this, and so we did it with Pablo.
So you adopted yours then as well, being in the management board, then I assume, right? Yeah. Okay. Okay, cool. So that sounds relatively stress-free, I have to be honest. I thought that there were way more challenges coming up, but I'm very happy for you in any case. So that's good.
Until now.
Until now, yes. Let's see once you raise fresh capital, how this will change maybe in your case. But maybe talking about challenges, are there any other challenges you feel free to share with us, which came up during your journey of funding something together with your father or with your children respectively? So any other challenges you feel free to share with us? Or learning?
Well, I think we have to mention Leon is not sitting here. So the company was founded with Leon, Pablo, and myself. And he left that time, or he came to me and said, listen, Dad, the company is now growing and growing. I remember the time when we were 3 people sitting in one room. Now there are hundreds of people. We have 5 locations, a lot of structure, a lot of processes. This is not my strength, and I want to do something different. So this was you know, we figured out that what I mentioned earlier, that if we think this 100 times bigger, then you sometimes lose. And Leon has now founded his own company and started. So everything is all right. But at that moment, I felt, you know, you are losing your child in another way, because he just said it's too big now for me.
Yeah. And did this affect any, like, your relationship to him as a father?
No, not at all. Not at all. The only thing is we just, you know, we drove now in the car 5 hours to Berlin, and we were talking about Leon, who is since 2 months in Cape Town, and he said he probably is doing the better thing. No. No,
that was good here.
It's with an extremely well relationship, but it's more remote now than it was before, where we were really sitting day in and day out in the same office.
Okay. Yeah. And in your case?
I think we're very happy that we work remotely. Have this private space and come home, or having their partner at home, so you can switch off a little bit. But I think, I mean, one challenge is, less private time for us. So when we are together, we're just talking about LipoCheck and the next steps and so on. But as we told you, we're trying not to so often, but it's sometimes we cannot switch off.
And also learning for the two of us was.
Papa? I think there's a comment. That's a challenge.
That's a challenge, of course.
Yes, about challenges and the cross-generational setup. In our case, this is more an advantage, because cross-generational means one is older and has more experience, and for in our business, experience is the greatest value in medical business, and no lifetime, no experience, and this is the basic of the content of the app.
Thank you.
Do you have anything to add, because you were kind of interrupted? Or was it something you wanted to say anyways?
I think I say it anyways, because the biggest learning for Helena and me was actually that we have this kind of, you already know what I want to say, this is our problem actually, because we call it sister language. So this already started when we were little kids, and Helena could even speak a word. I already had to translate what she wanted to say to our mother or to our dad.
Now I can speak now.
Now she can speak. Thanks God.
Just to make sure.
But we still have this kind of strong bondage and connection. I mean, we're not twins, but we're kind of connected. And when Helena is starting something, hey, I have this and this idea, and I already know what she wanted to say, and I'm just doing what she wanted to say, and doesn't finish even how to explain. And especially when we have the team, for example, with us, it's maybe sometimes from the outside hard to follow the conversation. So we had to.
Yes. Okay. Let's do it. What are you doing?
So we had to learn to finish our sentence and to explain what we actually thought and mean. This was actually our biggest learning and challenge at the beginning.
Yeah, I can imagine. Maybe one other challenge I want to touch upon. So, Klaus, you just said you already grew your company size to quite a significant number, right? I mean, approximately 300 employees you have currently, and
500 in the
500 already. Yeah. Oh, okay, wow. So I just want to understand, was there ever a case of favoritism or nepotism that was brought to you by other business partners or colleagues? Do you have to specifically take care of that you don't favor like Pablo in some cases, or other cases, do you think that you are sometimes extra strong and extra strict, basically, in comparison to other colleagues and business partners?
I hope I'm not, but I can tell you, no. For me, it's very difficult to have how should I say, to have a comparison, because when I was young, my father died very early when I was 4 years old, so I have no experience with my own father, so I developed it always on the run, practically. So I hope that was never the case, but at least I never thought about it or had it in my mind, actively thinking about it or so. No, I don't know. What do you say? Very honest,
I think in the early days when you start a company, we didn't care about this. So we just were about people we know, doesn't matter from family or friends, just coming to the company, helping to get work done, working for very low salary. So that was basically it in the beginning. And then when we started to professionalize and when we are adding external managers, I guess that creates a natural I don't know, boundary that keeps you from that, because otherwise the talented people will leave your company when they see there's just one or two persons who are always favored. They do not want to work at your company. And I guess that creates kind of a natural boundary that this does not happen.
Okay, good. Well then, no gossip for us here. Okay, cool. With a look at the time, we'll quickly move to our last section of Face of the Evening, basically the future outlook. So I'm just curious to understand, like, how do you ensure that you are, I mean, because you started as a family, and especially in your case, you are still pretty small, and how do you ensure that you stay a family-oriented business while still at the same time, like, attracting external, fresh talent who would, you know, challenge you and question things? Well, have you ever thought about this?
I mean, we never wanted to be like a family business that is a family business over decades. We are more solution oriented. So what we want is to help our patients to fulfill the need, and also to have actually a cool and adorable workplace in our company. So if you're a family or not, so it doesn't matter. We are more solution oriented.
And we are following one overall principle, and it's better together to change something. And that's why we participate, and our whole team, and this is what we want to show also to the outside and communicate this also to our business partners, clients, and teams. And this is more important for us and stay in our family world. So.
What about you? You brought in 2 external managing directors, right? Was this ever a thing you had to think about, like, you know, in a complex way, or was this a straightforward decision you took?
It was very straightforward. So again, I knew from my lifetime that I'm not a good manager, and that they can probably learn something from me, but not being a good manager. And it was clear that we need their more professionalism, and that's why we took external managing directors on board as soon as the company had a size in order also to fulfill their commitments against such guys.
Okay, cool. When looking at a venture fund cycle of approximately 10 years, have you ever thought about the idea or like a plan what to do when in 10 years time, one of you would say, okay, I actually want to go a completely different path, either within like Hyundai or LipoCheck, or as well like go out and do my own thing and I don't know, be back at, like an employee basically somewhere else, or start a new business from my own. Have you ever thought about this, and have you had any plans?
I think that's one of the first things you need to discuss in the beginning, right? And we discussed this and talked about it, and for now, nobody wants to leave the company in the near future, hopefully, right? But I mean, plans can change. But what we are doing, we start now hiring people, and we have an eye on the necessary qualifications and if they fully align to our company's vision and to that what we are doing in our culture. And I think this is something what we can do now in our stage to look if they want to grow with our family and want to lead the business in the near future with us. So to have like someone, if we are not there or somebody else, we can just give it over.
Okay. What about you? Did you have something in place before Leon decided to leave, or was it something you have only thought about after he left, basically? Or did you think about this at all?
To be honest, no, we didn't think about that at all, and at least for me, I couldn't imagine doing something different in 10, I don't know, 20 years. But that's now. So for me right now, it's everything I saw is learning. With every stage the company is entering, you're learning and discovering new things, and that's just what keeps me curious and motivating in working for Hyundai. And I like, of course, I like the people. I like what we're doing, and that's why I cannot imagine doing something different.
Okay, cool. Then I have 2 last questions, 2 generic questions maybe. But first, I would like to hear your opinion or thoughts about if somebody of the audience would ask you for recommendations on like what is your number one recommendation you would advice basically you would give to somebody who would like to found something with I don't know their parents, their children, their grandparents. What would it be? Your number one advice?
I would say, like May said already, look at the skills and the experience they have, that they don't overlap.
So
and also have time for private chat, as it was before.
So make room and time.
Yeah.
I would say it's just do not overthink it. Just do it and see if it works.
It's straightforward. That's cool. Okay.
I mean, it's family.
What can go wrong with it?
Exactly.
Lars, anything to add?
I would just say be honest, because if you are honest, you will make everything right. And which sounds very simple, but it's not so simple in really everyday life.
And looking back, what would you say are you most proud of? Like, what comes to your mind first when you think about LipoCheck and Hyundai? What is the thing that makes you the most proud?
That it works. Actually, that we are working good together and very good, right, Papa?
Having fun.
Having also fun, and I think, as Anina told, it's not the norm that it works with the family. That a lot of people are afraid of, or thinking of, oh no, I can't do this, it's too much struggle. And yeah, I'm proud that we're such a good team, and yeah, make it work. That's why I'm proud.
Nice, thank you.
Well, I'm also, of course, proud of the project. When I ever talk with my colleagues about LipoCheck and that, what a great project, that's what we need. This is a solution for digital health, and the idea, and I have a very good feedback also from my network. And this, well, that makes me also proud, also to be able to realize the project with my daughters.
We are proud that you have such a good network
and such a good doctor.
So Pablo.
Yeah, I don't know if it's I'm proud of, but what I'm really thankful is for that I'm able to have impact on Hyundai and doing every day doing what I like to do, and that we managed to build a really great team who I really like working with, and most of them I can consider friends. So it's really like that's what I'm really happy or thankful or proud for. Yes.
Well, for me, I'm happy that I had a chance. You know, when Pablo and Leon were small, I practically saw them sometimes not for 2 or 3 weeks. And what makes you more happy that you can imagine that there comes a time that you are sitting with them in a room for 1 year, for 2 years, for 3 years, for 4 years, and it was just an incredible, beautiful experience, honestly, because it was for me not only building up a business, but for having a chance to spend time with the kids I could not spend the time before. And now with the younger children, I changed it. So every morning at 7, I go to the office, but I come back at 12. So I meet the children, I meet the family, then I go back in the office, and usually I'm back at 6, and I can talk to them about school and so on. And traveling is, I say always, the youngest should do, but again, Project A is a great company, and that's why I'm here.
I think this is the perfect last sentence.
Thanks
a lot very much for all of your input. And with this already, maybe let's give a big round of applause to our speakers. Very much appreciate all your honest words and your insights. Very inspiring stories.
And with this, I would move to the Q&A session and ask the audience if somebody wants to ask a first question. Yeah, over there.
So I wanted to ask about moments of failure and how you dealt with that. And
sorry, give me the box.
oh God, I can't throw.
Hi, okay, that works better. So I wanted to ask about moments of failure and what that did, how you dealt with that, what that did to your relationship, and then also maybe whether there was ever a moment whether you doubted whether that was the right decision to take to start a business together. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there were moments of failure. One at the very beginning where we thought we have already signed up a customer, the contract was negotiated, everything was all right. I left to South France for holiday. Pablo was back and wanted to fly to Vienna to sign the contract and, you know,
to start the project.
To start the project, yeah. So but it was really a formality to sign and then really in the very morning the customer called and said the meeting is cancelled. What's happened there? And a day later we figured out the managing director was fired and blah, blah, blah. To make a long story short, the thing was gone and we really struggled the first months very heavily with the company. And we were very close to move completely with all the family members to the US because we said probably we are too early in the market with a platform business, what we wanted to offer in the German market, because we simply did not get traction. And then came Telefonica and give us a chance, and then it went up. But the very first customer really quit the contract or just left an hour before it started. Yeah.
Was the exact same story I wanted to
tell. Yeah, I'll never forget. It was, you can't believe it.
I think from our side, until now, we didn't have any doubts. I think so. I mean, we're very early stage and it's our first time founding and we're working with failures and learnings. So that's our daily business is. And I think we didn't have any big decision to make now where we had any doubts or big failures. I think we are now in a very exciting phase, so we're in a very exciting stage. Now let's see what's coming next. But it would never struggle our relationship or something else, hopefully. But I think so.
Yeah, over there. Linda, pass it on. Yeah, throw it over.
Thanks.
Oh, okay. So good luck.
Hello.
Don't worry, just continue.
Hello. Does it work?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So I actually have two questions. One builds on your question, which is how would you describe your insecurities and fears you might had at the very beginning, like especially in the founding days? If there were any insecurities or fears, did they come true? And how do you look at them now? And my second question would be whether you had any kind of supportive factor in your life, like anything outside of your I don't know, company or like your I don't know, business environment that kind of helped you, like going for a walk or having like a ritual or like petting your dog, or I don't know, maybe involving your mom for advice, like also separately. Was there anything that you can maybe also like very personal question also, but you can give it as an advice to prospective founders? Want to start?
Okay. So the first question was about insecurities, right?
Yes, and fears.
So if you have insecurities and fears, so having started with the family, you have the back, right? So I think having insecurities, just try and just do it and don't think about it, I would say. And one advice from my side is and one advice is, of course, that takes the support you got, so from home, and also we talked about don't let them bring to your decision-making process. So, but go home and ask for another point of view, or go out with the dog. Yes, a dog is our chief of happiness officer. So go out, having a walk with them or with him, and just have a great time. But I'm also playing tennis, and that's my therapy. And I'm going out on the court, and then 1 hour over the balls, and then that's okay. So this is my advice doing sports too. And something which switch you off at the moment sometimes. Maybe.
In the, I guess in the early beginning, it was from a business perspective, of course. We were not sure whether this will be a success, so of course this was one. And another thing was then when the company grew and I married, I was never sure whether it is now the right time to have children. Now I have 2 children, and I can say, yeah, it was the completely right time, and it really helped me also from a business perspective to somehow turn off. So that's my learning.
So it becomes even more cross-generational now.
We'll see. We'll see.
Cross-generation. Exactly.
Right.
Now I have a very tough risk profile because, but I know that this is not normal. But what was not mentioned here is that when I started my very first company before Telegate, I was shareholder at a company called Europe Online. It was the days when America Online grew up, and I went to the bank and took 1 million of Deutschmark and invested in that company. And I had 1% in that company, and I learned that for me, 1 million was really, really a lot of money. And finally, the company failed. So because the big guys, like at those days, Hubert Burda, Matra Hachette in France, and Pearson publisher, so they just said, okay, I write off 40 million. I don't, we shut it down. It doesn't make sense. AOL is going, and you are there, and you have 1 million of that, and you really don't know what to do. And what I did honestly was I went again to the bank and tried to get another 200,000 to found Telegate. So and they were 1 and 3 years old, and the house was not paid and nothing, and my wife at those days knew nothing about the real situation. So
maybe that's a secret. Thanks for sharing.
But to add that having a partner that just understands what you're doing, like, I don't know, when you were in the beginning, I think your wife and also my husband is like, it's crazy what they're going through with me, like working from 9 a.m. to 11 in the night. So even if we are both at home, it's hard to even then have time together, especially in the beginning, I think. I hope it gets better.
Thank you. Winnie? I'm sorry.
Hey, good evening. First of all, thanks for being here. My question to both of you is in regards to like proper work culture between you guys. I mean, if I think of my parents, I would say I know them pretty well, right? But not in regards to actual working culture and how they work. So did it take some time to groove in? Do you guys do any team building events, or how can you or do you guys have feedback sessions? How can you imagine that? Because maybe like in a brainstorming session, it's Dad, always you with your ideas, or I don't know, like how's that going for you?
Yes, you can start.
No, nothing like that. We think we adopted each other pretty fast, and and then started through it. There was nothing like any brainstorming session or something like this. So yeah, just sat together, try to get as much as possible done, put everything in, and then go home.
Well, that sounds strange, but I think one of our strengths is to be very pragmatic. And as I mentioned, I have no direct report and nothing, simply because I don't like all these formalities. I can't work with it. And if I also join meetings and so on, but when I'm not there, I'm not there. So our CTO told me a year ago or so, he said, Klaus, I always look on your schedule and it's always empty. What are you doing over there? And then I say, well, but if you come to the office, you will always see me working. So it's very spontaneous. But honestly, again, this only works because there are professional managers, and I think Pablo is one of them, around me who are doing this, the daily work, or they also prevent me from communicating too directly. So when 10 people are in an office, you can say, hey guys, this has happened, we need to go in this direction all together now. And when you have 500 people in 5 locations and remote, then you need to start, okay, first the VP level need to be informed, then the people in culture need to get an information, and then the respective, and then we make on Friday a team meeting where everybody is informed about what is going to happen, like some salaries or whatever. So this always makes me very nervous, or this is something where I get crazy and say, why all this blah blah, just tell them today as it is. And that's why we are working very pragmatic in this close relationship, and also with the other 2 managing directors, that works with that. But then it really becomes structured. Yeah.
Even we have a weekly update call. But we need to have, so because it's starting to yeah, this is how.
I think we are working very focused on our topics, and also very pragmatic, and I have no thoughts about what the questioner said. And I think that's not our problem.
But I think that's also one of the core strengths of like families, right? That you can be pragmatic, and even more pragmatic maybe than with others, because you can skip so many formalities, and I think that's a great
makes
part.
it extremely fast.
Yeah.
So that's often that we make decisions really when we're drinking coffee in the morning, very early, when most people are not there yet.
Mm-hmm.
And then we say it's probably the right thing to go this direction, and then Pablo is structuring it, and
cool. Yeah, one question.
Yeah, I just had one question, because we also talked about at the beginning about you are very lucky of having your mother as an external person who's like actually looking into things from a different perspective. But have you actually like really considered of having an external coach on board who's like actually also bringing you into a different perspective? Because also you were mentioning that it is actually great how we work. We were focused, and we have a red line sort of. But sometimes, have you ever considered of getting a little bit external views into it, so to change directions or to get other insights?
I said, be always honest. So honestly, I don't like coaches. So no, never.
But we had early supporters who were supporting us. They were not like coaches, but we had kind of offsites with.
Yeah, where we meet other people, where you get external view and so on. But you get so many on LinkedIn and everywhere. Every second person is coach for something, and I get crazy with all these many coaches all around. I am very reluctant, or I simply don't like those kind of people, and hopefully nobody is in here because they are telling you.
Oh, you haven't met the right coach yet?
Yeah, probably yes. Yeah. No, coaching is nothing. It would not really work probably with me. But I listen to other people. You know that
they would not consider themselves as coaches.
If somebody comes and now I am a coach, I'm telling you how this is going to work. I think the coach is alive, you listen to the people, you are sitting together. So for example, you go for dinner and then you speak to people or to. I'll give you a concrete example. I said, okay, I want to learn when I look on the market of our company of Hyundai, it's a 400 billion market. And I can imagine to get 10%, which is 40 billion, huge company. But when I look at from the bottom up, and we make now 100 million this year, and then I can imagine 200 million, and then I can imagine 400 million, and then there is huge gap between the 400 million and the 40 billion. How can we get there? And then I spoke to somebody. I have a coach, and who can. But I thought that this, because I told her what I really needed. I need somebody to understand this, and I thought this is an entrepreneur who have done it before or something like that. But then I had a video call with that coach, and he recommended me a book, How to Scale a Company, and all this. I said, I had tell me, how do I have to think this? And I got no answer. But so if you know somebody from 400 million to 40 billion, that's something very exciting, how you're going to manage this. And the coach couldn't tell me. But at least I tried, because he was recommended.
One in the audience, maybe. Okay, cool. Maybe one last question. I know, Winnie, that you had a question. Do you want to? Oh, okay.
Yeah. Can you imagine to fire your sibling or your father? Because I just want to, let's say the company's growing and at some point you realize, okay, maybe he's not or she's not the right person for the job anymore. And don't you think that might be a conflict of interest?
Interesting question. I never thought about it.
I think we already talked about it, but yeah.
Want to fire me?
No, like really at the beginning with our coach.
True. Oh, there are good coaches out there.
No, we had this kind of access thing where we also got a coach, so we had to do that. And we discussed that actually, and we all were in the opinion like you already did. If there's people you need to take into the management who have more experience or have their skills where you don't have it, take them, get them in there. But I would never fire my sister. That's of course not. But we all agreed on if there's someone who could do the job better, they should do it. For the company, of course.
No, as Klaus already mentioned in the beginning, we're very open about this, and as soon as one of us gets the feeling that the other one is not the right person anymore, then we will speak about this pretty open, and that's what we try to do, not with each other, but with all the employees as well, and that would be the way how we handle it.
Cool. Thanks a lot. So I think if there are more questions, I mean, we'll still stick around and have our beers anyways. I mean, the only person you will not be able to drink a beer with is Stefan, but let's maybe say goodbye to him in this round then. And before we go over to the... Thank you, Stefan, drinking water, okay? Next time you have to drink a beer though. Yeah, maybe just before we go over to the networking part and beer, I just want to say a quick and big thank you to everybody at Project A who has been supporting and helping out with setting up not only this event tonight, but the entire series. So big thanks to IT and sysadmin who sits over there, to design who have been helping with everything, Brandon Combs here over there, maybe you say, look all in the camera, and to office management as well, who have been helping with everything setting up. So big thank you to all, and yeah, let's have a fun closing of the evening.
Thank you.